Okay, this week we continue on with tearing apart the steps, and this week it's step 5. So, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. So, basically, as you can see, religion is a big part of this so called program because you have to admit to God, and that's capital G. So, as you can see, this isn't a spiritual program, it's an actual religious program based on this, and of course, like with me going over the bite method before, the behavior, information, thought, and emotion, you can actually make the case for it, and it's not just a religious organization but a religious cult as well. So religion has no place in mental health. Now if you want to get in religion and get into like in this case Christian mythology after the fact, by all means go ahead. But you gotta remember, you kind of like fit that little plug in at the emotional level, which doesn't necessarily supersede the intellectual level. Because in regards to mental health, this so-called God has no place in mental health and everything. Because you got to make sure you get your head on straight and everything first before you get into mythology. Like, oh yes, okay, these were a bunch of stories that were collected together with the Christian mythology or with Norse mythology or Greek mythology. These were a bunch of stories that were gathered together to explain how things worked at the time. And this is several thousand, 2, 3, maybe even 4,000 years ago when this stuff was starting to be put together. So you can kind of understand it. You're going to base your stuff off hundreds, if not thousands of years old mythology instead of modern science and psychology. Admitted to ourselves and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. So basically now we got to basically put ourselves on our knees and be like, oh Lordy, 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 we are totally worthless, totally helpless, and totally powerless, and we need all your help. And especially when admitting to another human being, like I said before, when you go into a sponsor and you're doing this fifth step and everything, they are under no legal obligation to basically keep everything to themselves and everything. So if you came to me and told me all your dirty little secrets and everything, there would be no repercussions for me to go around and start posting it on social media. Oh hey, look, Jim Bob over here, he did this and that, and especially if you committed crimes that you're confessing to, and they could quite possibly turn you in and everything. And of course, not to say that people are having unconfessed crimes or anything when you come to this and everything. Most of the time, I'm going to say that people aren't necessarily confessing are talking about unconfessed crimes that are violent in nature or whatever. Most of us just are stuck in those negative emotions. We feel guilt, we feel shame, so oh, we gotta get this off our chest and everything, and we got to tell our sponsors so that way we can get better and everything. No, that just puts you in a position where it can quite possibly be easy for them to take advantage. Oh hey, look, you know that little dirty little secret you told me about? Well, if you don't go mow my lawn, if you don't drive me to and from here and there, if you don't do this for me, I'm going to tell everyone what you did and everything. So again, you kind of want to be hesitant and do I necessarily want to share stuff with someone that I just met this past few months and everything? Now, is it important to have people that you can trust, have that inner circle of people? Absolutely, because a community is a good probably one of, if not the most important part of recovery. Having those people that you can trust and everything, that aren't going to sit there and blast stuff on social media, that aren't necessarily going to turn around and take advantage of you. Hey, yeah, like I said, I'm going to use and abuse you because you just told me this dirty little secret and everything. You can turn to people and be like, okay, so hey, I've got this problem. How do I get? I got this problem. How do I get better and everything? How do I solve it? You don't necessarily come to a sponsor oh well, you just gotta pray to God and do this and do that, and they actually will give you legitimate responses and reasons on, or like solutions to your problems, not just like oh yes, like here you go. So this long-winded ramble of me with the step 5 is like you're pretty much putting yourself in position to be taken advantage of, because now that you've admitted like your first 3 steps of being completely powerless, hopeless, and worthless, you're pretty much like putting yourself below people. Like, oh well, like I didn't like I gotta do like all these people, what these people are saying, and like I gotta like become like totally humble, and like you're, and basically I gotta be taken advantage of because like I'm just a worthless alcoholic, or like I'm totally like just junkie. And I said, like I keep reiterating with these steps, ditch this fucking step. Don't admit to God, to like yourself, and to another human being the exact nature of your wrongs. You're only setting yourself up for like future abuse and future failure and everything. Instead, take a step and like start owning your mistakes. Like, okay, look, like okay, I made a mistake. Like I committed a crime, like where I stole some money while I was drinking so I could fuel my addiction. Okay, so that was my mistake. How, like once you get sober and once you like, okay, yes, that was my mistake. I own it. I move on, and it doesn't define who I am now. So again, looking at the past, you don't let your past define who you are. Whereas like with this program, especially now, as my cat is demanding attention. Yeah. Yes, the steps are bullshit, aren't they? Yes. So with this step, it's pretty much putting yourself below people, driving home that total like powerlessness, worthlessness, and hopelessness, and basically like being constantly beat down by like other people and everything, instead of reaching out to someone and having them lift you up. For instance, like I said, like having someone help you with the problem. Hey, look, I just screwed this up and everything. Do you have any solutions? Instead of like, hey, look, I have this like this is where I screwed up. Like, yeah, you see, you're totally worthless, and that's how like you went about, and that's how you became a drug addict or an alcoholic. And so, like for instance, like reason why I say these steps are completely like worthless compared to like your modern day programs like Smart Recovery, the Phoenix program, which would give you, the community. And of course, I keep kind of like reiterating this stuff and everything, video over video, and so that way people can actually like, oh hey, look, let me check into these alternatives and everything. Because again, like with like this stuff, if you bring this stuff up in meetings and to your sponsor and everything, like, hey, look, I found all these alternatives. You're not going to like, oh, okay, you found a solution that's actually going to work for you. Great, let's go for it. No, like especially here with step 5, kind of showcases this like, hey, look, no, you just got to accept this program, and if you don't get it, you're going out to drink again, and like at the very best, or at the very worst, like, oh, you're just going to die, or you're going to end up in jail, or you probably end up in an institution or whatever. So these steps are, like, as you can see, designed to pretty much like get yourself down that path of being completely hopeless, powerless, and worthless. And this is like you basically admitting that, like, oh yes, I'm totally like worthless and everything, to some made up God, to like another human being that has no negative repercussions of like, oh hey, look at this guy, look at what he did. He is totally worthless. Ha ha ha. Whereas like with a therapist, you go in and like they have that like confidentiality, like legal repercussions, so that way they can actually, like, in a sense, work with you, like, and not have to spill the beans, in a sense, like oh hey, look, I just did this terrible thing, and like it was like shame and guilt that led me to drink more and everything. They'll work with you to be able to overcome those negative emotions and negative issues, to be able to build yourself up and everything. So that's the whole concept of these steps, is basically to beat you down into submission, to continue a life of like, hey, look, yep, you're totally worthless, you're totally powerless, you're totally hopeless, so you might as well just like go around your life having that like attitude, that negative attitude towards yourself, which is going to lead you to have that negative attitude towards others. Whereas like all the other stuff I mentioned, like Phoenix program, smart recovery, rational recovery, everything that I keep mentioning that I have in other videos is going to build you up so you can actually be a positive influence for you, not only for yourself, but for other people as well. So that's the whole concept of getting rid of these steps, is that, hey, look, you're not powerless in the sense that like you have control over like yourself and how you go about your life. You're not hopeless in that, hey, look, you can actually get better, and you're not actually worthless because you actually have stuff that you can offer to this world, whether it's maybe going back to college to get like a formal education, or maybe you go like the informal road and like start reading a bunch of books and then like start like a, oh hey, yeah, look, I've read these books and everything, and start like helping other people out, like, oh, I've read these books on like philosophy, so like this has helped me overcome my addiction. And so that's pretty much the tit for tat, like the steps. You're completely powerless, hopeless, and worthless. Everything, all the other programs I've mentioned, hey, look, you have the power over yourself and like your situations that you can put yourself in. You do actually have hope, and you actually do have worth. So I'd rather go with the positive alternatives than these negative steps and everything.